Hi, welcome back to my channel. Okay, so I'm super excited for this video because I've been watching BookTube for some years now. I think it was in 2017 when I started, and I also have wanted to do a BookTube channel for a while, but you know, I only got the courage recently, and I always enjoyed watching people answer this tag. And so I can't believe it's finally my turn to answer it. I'm super excited, and I also toyed with some ideas of maybe doing a tier ranking of the books that I've read so far, or maybe doing a favorites of the year so far, but I think these questions are so fun that I decided, you know what, no, I'm just gonna do it. I've never done it and I love it, so this is what we're going to do today. The first question is, best book you've read so far this year? Okay, so it should come as no surprise to anyone that has watched my videos or some of my videos. Obviously, my favorite book so far of the year is Assassin's Quest by Robin Hobb. This is the third book in the Farseer trilogy, and I have read book 2 this year as well. And it's most people's favorite, I feel like, but I liked Assassin's Quest better. I feel like this book is a bit hit or miss with people because it's so slow. It's like 800 pages or so, and it's a quest book, so it's a lot of walking and talking and stopping to rest. And you know, quest books can be a bit repetitive and very slow, but I actually really like them. Who doesn't like a good old-fashioned quest? Especially because quest books are very good at giving you character moments, really good character moments, because the plot is just getting from point A to point B, you know? So you can kind of come up with whatever you want along the way and put your characters in various different situations and see how they react. It's just fun, and I love these characters. I loved all the character progression that we got. The character arcs in this book are amazing, and it was a really good finale to the trilogy, I think. I'm not going to get into the details of what this book is about because I've talked about it plenty of times. So you can hear me talk about this whole trilogy in my favorites video, as well as some of my wrap-ups. So yeah, I'm gonna stop here for now, but this is for sure my favorite book of the year so far. I don't know if anything will top it, honestly. And yeah, I just had a great time with it the whole way through. I love these characters, and honestly, I miss them. Next question is, best sequel you've read so far this year? Okay, so my favorite book of the year is a sequel, so I'm not gonna repeat any books. I'm gonna talk about The Score instead, The Score by Elle Kennedy. This is the third book in the Off-Campus series. This is a college sports romance series, and I started it last year. My favorite book is the second book, but I really enjoyed this one. And this particular book has the one-night stand friends with benefits trope, and I really enjoyed both of our main characters, Allie and Dean. Allie, I just fell in love with her. I loved her so much. She's a great protagonist, and Dean was really sweet, despite what I thought of him before. He was actually really sweet, and it's just a fun and happy book. I just had a great time with this book. It was so much fun, and I did do a reading vlog about it with and without spoilers, so if you want my in-depth thoughts, you can go watch it. I'm gonna link it up here somewhere in the cards. And yeah, also shout out to Tomodachi Game, because I've read 8 volumes from that manga series so far, and I'm enjoying it a lot. It's super addictive, super fun, so I thought I would mention it as well. I did talk about it in depth in my wrap-up, which was my last video, so if you want to know what it's about, go watch it. I don't think I'm going to give any synopsis for the books that I've already talked about on my channel. I'm just gonna refer back to my videos. New release you haven't read yet, but want to. Well, that has to be Emily St. John Mandel's new release, Sea of Tranquility, I think is the name of it. I'm gonna put up a picture, but I really like Emily St. John Mandel's books. I read 2 of them. One of them is Session 11, and it's one of my favorite books of all time. And the other one, Last Night in Montreal, was her debut, and it was a really good debut, actually. I didn't love it, but I did really enjoy it, and I love Emily St. John Mandel's writing style, so I'm super excited for this one. And I actually don't remember what it's about, but I'm super excited. I'm pretty sure it's another mix between literary fiction and science fiction, so I don't know, that worked so well for Session 11, I'm excited. Most anticipated release for the second half of the year? Well, would I be cheating if I mentioned the last book in Mistborn Era 2? Because I haven't read Era 2 yet. None of it. But I know I'm gonna want to read it, and I will read it before the last book comes out. So you know what? I'm just gonna mention it because I'm pretty sure that even if I don't vibe with Era 2 that much, I'm still gonna want to finish it because it's all part of the same universe. And I want to be up to date with the 𝐜𝐲𝐬𝐬 so that I can keep on reading Brandon Sanderson's books. And I haven't actually disliked anything by Brandon Sanderson. Well, I don't like Secret History. But besides that, no, but I haven't actually heavily disliked anything by Sanderson. Everything that I've read, even if I felt slightly more lukewarm about it, I still enjoyed. So I for sure want to keep going with his books. So I'm gonna mention just the last book. I think it's The Lost Metal, but I'm not sure. I don't know what else is coming out. I'm terrible with new releases. Let me check. You know what I realized? I realized I literally don't know anything about new releases, and so I maybe should make a video of myself going through the new releases for this year and seeing if any interest me. But my answer for this question is going to be Kate Stewart's new book. It comes out in July and it's called Reverse. And this says you can expect the following from Reverse: second generation romance, high angst, frenemies to lovers, Romeo and Juliet love story, rockstar romance, star-crossed lovers, and all the heat. I do believe that because I've read The Guy on the Right by Kate Stewart, and that was one of my favorite romances of last year. That was the perfect friends to lovers story. That book is actually so good at showing the characters going from being strangers to friends to lovers. It's incredible. I loved it. And ever since then, I've wanted to read the entirety of Kate Stewart's backlist, and I haven't read anything else by her yet. But I do know that a lot of people like that trilogy. The first book in the trilogy is Flock. I don't know the name of the trilogy. And I'm interested in some other books by her. And this one, I actually don't necessarily love rockstar romances. Not that I've read any of them. But I don't tend to care about stories related to celebrities, fictional or otherwise. So I'm not super excited about that part. But the rest sounds so good. I'm excited. The next question is, biggest disappointment? Actually, I have two answers for this question, which is unfortunate. But the first one would be The Sword of 𝐜𝐽 by M.L. Wang. I was super excited about this book. It's a self-pub adult fantasy book. And I did really enjoy the very beginning, like the first 40% or so. But I just ultimately couldn't connect with the characters. And this is a very character-driven story. It's very slow. And it's engaging. And it's addictive. And I read it really fast. But I didn't like the actual main character. And I did like her son, but that was about it. And it was just unfortunate because I did really enjoy the beginning, and I also really loved the fight scenes. And listen, as much as I love fantasy, I'm not super into fight scenes. I'm really not an action type of person. I prefer, slower paced books so that we have time to be with the characters and delve deep into their psyche. So I'm not really into fight scenes, and even in movies, I'm not into fight scenes that much. But I loved these, and I think they're so well written. And again, I did like one of the main characters, but ultimately it just didn't resonate with me. And I didn't like the character progression. I didn't think that the themes were well explored, but that's me because everyone that reads it on BookTube loves it. So maybe it's a me problem. And then the other one I talked about in my last video, it's Love and Other Words by Christina Lauren. It's a romance book, kind of women's fiction. It's childhood friends to lovers, second chance. And I was super excited about it because I really like friends to lovers. It's my favorite romance trope, and I love it even more if they're childhood friends to lovers. So I was just super excited about it, and a lot of people love it, but unfortunately, it just wasn't for me. Favorite new author, debut or new to you? I'm looking at my Goodreads, and this is interesting because I feel like most of the things that I truly loved this year were by authors that I already knew. But my answer is going to be Marie Lu. So I haven't talked about Legend in my channel yet. This was my first read of the year, and I did really enjoy it, and I want to continue so bad. I don't know why I haven't read it yet, the sequel. I mean, I'm just really bad at following up on series, but anyway, this book is a dystopian YA book. It's very well known, but we're following two main perspectives, June and Day. And June is she's the perfect soldier within this oppressive political system, and Day is part of the resistance. And Day isn't known as the most dangerous criminal, but he's the smartest one because he's always able to outmaneuver them. So basically what happens is that towards the beginning of the story, June's brother gets killed after an altercation with Day. So June thinks he killed her brother, and so she goes after Day, and she kind of tries to befriend him without telling him who she is. And so the story progresses from there. And honestly, it's a really fun story. It's well written. I love the writing style. The only thing I didn't like, and that I should point out, is the romance. It's super incel-lovey, and I hate incel love so much. So every time something happened between June and Dae, I was just, I laughed because it was just ridiculous. But other than that, I really like the story. It makes sense, and I do like June and Dae. And I do think that June is a super interesting perspective to follow because, I mean, she was raised to believe in that terrible, terrible political system. It's almost as if you're reading Hunger Games and you're getting a perspective from the capital. So I thought that was super interesting, and she's still likable. So I don't know. I had a great time, and I do want to continue it. And I liked it so much to the point where I do want to read other series by Marie Liu. Like, I wasn't interested in Warcross by her, for instance, because it gets compared to Ready Player One a lot, and Ready Player One is my favorite book. So I didn't really like that idea, but I liked Legend so much that I do want to read more from this author.
Newest fictional crush?
I don't think I have one. Okay, so I mean, I used to have fictional crushes all the time, book boyfriends and just fictional crushes in general, but I don't anymore, not really. It's tough nowadays for me to be like, oh yes, this character is a new fictional crush. It's hard for me. I feel like the last time I felt that way about a character was with Adolin and Kaladin from the Stormlight Archive, and I read that in 2020, so it's been a while. But I don't know, let me check the romance books that I've read, Okay, so I would say that if I had to answer this question, actually answer it, I would say probably Josh from The Hating Game. I did really like The Hating Game, and actually Sally Thorne is the author for The Hating Game, and I also am really interested in reading more from her, so Sally Thorne maybe could be another answer for the previous question, but yes, I would say probably Josh from The Hating Game, just because I did really like him as a love interest. He was just so sweet, and I love... Well, I don't want to spoil the book. So anyway, he was sweet, and even though it's kind of an enemies to lovers, I mean, it's not really enemies to lovers or hate to love. It's not really. And this book, I had a great time with it. I couldn't imagine that I would like The Hating Game so much. I know that people love it, but I didn't know I would love it so much. I honestly didn't believe I would, but it was just a delight. It's just a cute and fun book, and it makes you feel happy. I loved it. I really did.
Next question is newest favorite character.
Newest favorite character? I mean, a favorite character that I've read about this year obviously fits from the Farseer trilogy, but I started the Farseer trilogy last year, so it doesn't count. Okay, so I would say Allie from The Score. I really, really enjoyed following her and following her struggles and see her character progression in that book. And also the main character for Tomodachi Game, I do really like him. I think he's a super interesting character because he's someone who, the setting for this manga series is that him and his friends have to beat this friendship game that involves money. And I feel like in stories with this type of setting, we a lot of the times end up following characters who are geniuses. But with Yuichi, you know, he's really, really smart, but he isn't really a genius. He's just more so willing to do things that normal people aren't. He's willing to play dirty. And I think his psyche is really, really interesting because of that. And I do really want to see where he goes with his character arc.
Book that made you cry.
Listen, I cry with everything. Like, literally, I'm so easy. I even laugh really easily with stories. So, you know, saying that a book made me cry is not saying much because I cry really easily. But obviously, I read Royal Assassin. Whoa, actually, let me talk about that. I read Royal Assassin and Assassin's Quest, right, this year. Royal Assassin, the ending for Royal Assassin made me bawl my eyes out, okay? I cried like a baby. That ending really hit me. So I guess that would be the answer. Yeah, it has to be.
Book that made you happy.
I guess I kind of ended up answering this by mistake already, but The Score made me really happy. Also, Takane to Hana, Volume 1, it made me laugh out loud. So yeah, maybe that one. Yes, Volume 1 of Takane to Hana. It's a romance manga series, and it was just lovely. And I love the characters, and they made me laugh so much.
The most beautiful book you've bought so far this year or received?
Oh, I've already showed it, but let me go grab it. Here it is. It's an art book by Erine Tanemura. She is my favorite artist, and so it has to be this because it's beautiful.
What books do you need to read by the end of the year?
Way too many. I'm so behind on my goals for this year, but City of Lies is one that I really want to read, and hopefully I'm going to read this month. And I also really would like to read It Happened One Summer by Tessa Bailey. That's a romance book. I would like to read These Violent Delights by 𝐭𝐤𝐦𝐭. I would like to read a lot of things, honestly, and I'm not going to read half of them. So anyway, so funny thing, I just realized I literally skipped 2 questions. I didn't see them, so I'm going to answer them now.
The question is, biggest surprise?
So I guess I have already answered this one, and I was trying not to repeat books, but I think I did. Anyways, doesn't matter. It would be The Henning and by Sally Thorne. I thought I would like it, but I had no idea I would love it, and it's a new favorite. So, and I highly recommend, actually, like, if you want a romance book that will just make you happy, read this.
And the last question is, favorite book to movie adaptation you've seen this year?
Okay, so I actually checked my Letterboxd account for this one, and I have multiple, and I want to talk about them all because it's my video and I do whatever I want. But I haven't actually read the source material for any of these. The only book that has been adapted that I've read this year, I haven't watched, or rather I guess rewatched the movie this year, but I did read 𝐭𝐤𝐦𝐞𝐬𝐭: The Secret Service this year, and I loved it. And the movie is one of my favorite movies. It's just such a good spy movie. It's so good, and it's so funny, and the action sequences are amazing. Again, I'm not an action girl, but the fight scenes in 𝐭𝐤𝐦𝐞𝐬𝐭, chef's kiss. Amazing. And I highly recommend it. The book has the same tone, but the story is slightly changed. I do think I probably like the movie more just because, you know, it has Colin Firth, and I love him. I just like the performance of the actors in general. But yeah, I enjoyed both, so I recommend both. And the other 3 movies that I wanted to talk about, again, I haven't read the source material, but they were all based off of books, and they are all Japanese adaptations, so at least I'm predictable, I guess. But they are Asakusa Kid, Drive My Car, and The Door into Summer. And Asakusa Kid is based off of an autobiography, I believe, and it's about a really famous Japanese comedian, and it's about how he started his career, his origins. It was amazing. And the soundtrack is incredible. And then we have The Door into Summer. This is based off of a sci-fi book, and it has Kento Yamazaki portraying the main character, which I love Kento Yamazaki, so that was a plus. But I just really like the story. It was so incredibly cute and interesting. And I'm just going to put the book it's based off of on the screen for you to see. Anyway, I had a great time with this movie. It was truly cute. And then the last one is Drive My Car, which is based off of a short story by Haruki Murakami. And I really want to read it because the movie is amazing. I mean, it did win an Oscar, which that doesn't have to mean anything, but I do think it was deserved because it was an amazing movie, and I highly recommend it. This is mostly a character-driven story, and it delves deep into themes like grief and friendship, so I thought it was beautiful, and I highly recommend it. Okay, so that's it. Those were all the questions. I did really have a great time answering them, and I especially liked the one about book-to-movie adaptation, because actually when I first looked at the questions, I thought, no way I've read any book-to-movie adaptations. I don't very often read the book and then watch the adaptation, and then if I watch the adaptation, I don't read the book, and so I thought for sure I had no answers, and yet these were 3 of my favorite movies this year so far. And I love movies as well. I don't just love books, I love movies too. I'm super into them. And so this was a great opportunity for me to talk about another one of my hobbies. So I don't know, that was fun for me. I hope you enjoyed it as well. And thanks so much for watching. I will see you in my next one. Bye!